Hello, hello. I suppose it would help if I unmuted my mic. What's up, Matt? Got some video game news to go over tonight. So what's new, Matt? Been working? Pretty much, yeah. Same, but different. Whoops. There we go. I forget, do you have still just an Xbox One, or do you have like a Series S or anything? Oh, Xbox One. Okay. No Starfield for you, sir. Whoops, I did it again. I was doing this the last time I played. Why does it keep doing that? I don't understand what I'm doing that causes it to jump to the other tab. Oops. Nope. It's been kind of interesting actually keeping a schedule for streaming. It's like having a second job, which I guess is kind of the point. Like now I'm not just thinking of oh, this is my day off from work or whatever. It's like, oh, this is also my day off from streaming. Like I'm off today. Well, I mean I work today, but like I'm off from streaming. That works, whatever. God, that's... Let's not start doing this crap. There we go. Sometimes I I don't actually like successfully clearing a bunch of them because then it starts speeding up. Oh my god, why? I don't know if it's because I'm supposed to right click while I'm using the mouse to rotate the, or to hold the block to swap it. But I don't know if it's when I'm right clicking, if I'm like dragging or something. Let me see. What the hell? What did I just do? Well, that sucks. That game was going pretty well. Yeah, I'm not sure what causes that. That's really weird. Yeah, I don't see anything there that would tell me. I don't know. Did I send you the link to the place I'm considering applying to? I'm not gonna dox myself or anything, but if I sent it to you, I'm pretty sure you'd know. Okay. Yeah, there's something pretty cool opening up around here. That would be actually like where I work is really nice. Actually, you know, that's now that I've gotten used to like the way it flows, the way things are ran and stuff. It's really the difference between working corporate and working a locally owned restaurant. But once I adjusted to how things go there, the kind of the culture and stuff, I really like the place. But I guess when you're in this line of work, serving and stuff, you're always kind of looking for an upgrade because there's not really any other way to upgrade your financial situation or, you know, just your overall position and quality of life, basically, except for finding like a new gig. So it's kind of it's weird because you can end up in a position like at a restaurant for years. Like if you're just comfortable there, if you're making the money you need and you like the culture and the people you work with, management's okay, you'll be there for years. But in a lot of ways, service industry is very, very transient. You know, you may, like me, you may get into a certain restaurant and be like, yeah, this place is awesome, you know, and you start getting comfortable. You like your people, all that. But, like I said, if you're somebody who kind of considers your options, you might actually, after a year or 6 months or whatever, you might be like, oh, I need to try this other place. And it's not really held against you by many of the employers. Like, you know how most employers, it's like, oh, how long were you at this place? You know, oh, I was there for 6 months. Well, why weren't you there longer? You know, they see your history and they're like, that's not good. Service is a little bit different because as long as you left the place like on good terms, after the 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is, if you left on good terms and you can say, yeah, I mean, you can call them and everything's all good. I'm literally just looking for a new experience. They're usually okay with that. So it's a little different than a lot of other fields, I think. Because I've faced that before where, you know, you give a resume or an application to somebody and they're looking at it going, I mean, yeah, you've got experience and you seem nice and all, but your job history is kind of crap. So anyways, there's something opening up here. I'll send you the link, but there's something open up here soon that is pretty cool and would actually be a... Oh shit. Yep, I didn't have it muted. I have earbuds in, so I didn't realize the sound on the TV was still up. Because I use the TV to kind of like monitor the stream. See, make sure everything looks good and all that. Anyways, but yeah, there's a place opening up here soon. It says later this summer, but I don't know like what their actual deadline's going to be. Places do that all the time, and it would be a considerable upgrade. I feel like a really good like money spot. We'll just say it would definitely be people with money that would be there, and from what I know of this subsection, subgenre, subfield, that's probably a better term, subfield of service, you make some pretty decent money if you're good. And I'm pretty good. Cool thing is this music actually works really good for playing Tetris. What did I do? I was trying to wait and see if we got, you know, one or two more people in here. I know that at some point, Cosmic Traveler, my brother, was going to show up, but I don't know how late he's going to be at work. See, I don't know how I did that. That's weird. You still doing the pizza? They keep giving me raises. Yeah. Inflation. Oh, yay, we got raises, but when it's just keeping up with the inflation, kind of doesn't, may not add up to a lot. It feels good, though. Like, we think you are more valuable. Of course, when inflation goes up, we want to make more money, and so we try to get a raise, but then inadvertently, we're also contributing to further inflation, so yeah. Becomes a vicious cycle. Oops. Oh. I think the last time I did this, I was able to make it like level 20, and then I just I lost it. Yeah, sometimes having a good schedule is more important than the money aspect of it. I did that for a while. Not the last place I was. Well, I was, yeah. The last place I was working before this, when I was doing the hosting, after 5 years of serving and bartending, I was like, I need a break, Now, the money wasn't that great, but the cool thing was I was working 6 days a week. So I did not work nights. I only worked daytimes. And even though I was working 6 days, it was like, cool, my schedule's consistent. I know what I'm doing every day. But eventually I needed money. Started going broke. Oh, I need to stop clicking because it's screwing me up. This is where the piling starts. Unless I can stay ahead. There we go. Oh my god, I did it again. It's so annoying. Yeah, it's so much easier to like live a more functional, healthier life when you've got a decent schedule. And a lot of times working in any kind of service industry, whether it's a pizza place or a sit-down restaurant, you don't get that option. You're kind of just stuck with whatever you're given. Oh, that was not good. Want to keep that? No. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, this is getting a little. See, I'll instinctively try to click to do the drop, and then when it's moving this fast, it means I'm double dropping because I'll click when mine is already gonna stick, and then the next one ends up coming down. It's a little better. Level upgrades. Time to die. All I have is this block, dang it. No, stop. I was getting there. did before. Oh my god. That's going fast. Come on. Yes. Tetris is racist. You off of work? Oh my god. The mouse went off the screen. No! There we go. Level 20. We're back where I made it to before. And then I'm not going to make it past here. No! Well, this is bad. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. No! I mean, it's Russian, according to everybody. That means it's bad. Not too bad, though. 279,000. Of course, it doesn't have my score from the last time I played. Either who, now that there are two people besides me here, welcome everybody to, I don't know, I called it Monday Night Mild for some reason. There's a little bit of video game news drifting around out there today. Kind of the big headliner is Charles Martinet retiring. And if you know anything about video games or anything about Mario, you probably know he's basically the voice of Mario, except for when Chris Pratt is the voice of Mario. But he has retired today. Charles Martinet, the iconic voice of Mario for more than 3 decades, is stepping back from recording character voices for Nintendo as he transitions into a new role. Now a Mario ambassador, Martinet will... What? Wahoo! I gotta hear myself do that. Oh my god, that was actually pretty good, I think. Anyways, Martinet will travel the world and interact with fans on behalf of the gaming company. Martinet is not involved in the upcoming Super Mario Bros. Wonder game, which is like the new kind of classic, well, sort of classic style, but like new side-scroller Mario game coming out this fall. That's kind of cool. There's actually a brand new Super Mario Bros. Side-scroller and a brand new Sonic the Hedgehog side-scroller. Both are kind of in the style of older games with like more classic gameplay, so that's pretty awesome. We'll have Sonic and Mario going head-to-head again, but like with better games than the last couple. So it says, while Charles is not involved in the game, we're excited to honor his legacy and contributions, including looking ahead to what he'll be doing as a Mario ambassador, Nintendo said. So he started at Nintendo in 1991, which makes sense because that was about the time they started having a voice for Mario. And his first major performance as the mustachioed plumber was in 1996's Super Mario 64, the landmark 3D platformer that introduced much of the world to Mario's enthusiastic Italian intonation. He is credited for voicing Mario and a handful of Mushroom Kingdom adventures, including Luigi, Wario, Waluigi, and in over 150 Nintendo games. No. And neither was like basically everything else that came out except for like Sonic Mania. Bringing to life Mario's unforgettable catchphrases like "Let's go, Mamma Mia," and "Wahoo!" That one wasn't as good. Martinet left his mark on some of Nintendo's biggest properties, including Mario Kart, Super Mario Galaxy, and Mario Party. He even, I don't know if anybody noticed this, but he did have a brief cameo in this year's Super Mario Bros. Movie in which Chris Pratt took over as Mario. He played, there was this other character, I can't remember exactly what he did, but there was this other little character that was like based off of the original concept, like the original version of Mario. and so that was him. But pretty crazy. Definitely a big era ending. Yet the voice of Mario has retired. You know, people made this big deal out of having Chris Pratt play Mario in the movie, which I think was a perfect casting. And when you watch the movie, it just works perfectly, I think. The random guy that did a yes, he was actually Mario. He wasn't just a guy who also did the voice perfectly. Like, who would have been Mario otherwise? But yeah, there was a big deal made of Chris Pratt playing Mario in the movie, which I think was a great casting. You know, the thing is yeah, Martinet does all these like little exclamations and all these other lines and stuff for the character in the video games, but you have to imagine what having that over the course of an entire movie would be. It would be more like being a caricature of Mario, like just a little too over the top. So you needed somebody who could pull off the subtleties of like what would Mario sound like in regular conversation, you know? So I think it was a good choice. But then now he's retiring from voicing Mario as well. So he had to have known that was probably something he was intending to do anyways. So like what would have happened if you had cast him and had him play Mario in the movie, you know, and then he wants to retire. Then you're stuck trying to recast Mario. So I feel like that's something you could do with AI voices. It wouldn't surprise me. I actually watch a lot. I had a really big period of watching them. I definitely have slowed down, but they're still fun to go check out. But the AI presidents on YouTube, man, there was this whole series. I feel like Matt would like it because it was like a whole D&D scenario they were doing, and it got pretty crazy and really meta for the characters. But you had Biden, Obama, and Trump, who were the players, and you had Ben Shapiro, who was the dungeon master. And it started out just kind of silly, and them bouncing off each other and stuff. But like over, I don't know, a month or two, as these episodes came out, and they not only did they do the voices of the characters, but they also did, like, they used AI to create the artwork for them and artwork for like the story for the world they were in. But it was a really well played out campaign. They used legit like rules and had them casting stuff and rolling for this and, you know, all this kind of stuff. It was really cool. It got pretty serious though and started taking a dark turn. It was pretty awesome. I gotta go follow up on it and see what happened after the last big twist. But I love that kind of stuff. There was like another series where they had the AI presidents were in this Magic the Gathering thing, like tournament. You had Trump, you had Biden, you had Obama, you had Bush, you had JFK, Ben Shapiro. Like, you had all these crazy, Hillary Clinton, all these crazy characters involved in it. And for some reason there was like this Magic the Gathering tournament. Well, I know what I'm watching after this. But there was like this big Magic the Gathering tournament, but there was like a secondary plot line that was unfolding. And I love the ones where they include Kim Jong-un for some reason. Those are hilarious. And of course they don't use his actual voice, so he's like the one character who doesn't have his voice that sounds like, you know, what you expect it to. It's pretty funny. But these people that were doing these little storylines and stuff, these series, they did a pretty good job. They came up with some cool stuff. Which thing was it? Oh yeah, this is pretty cool. So the Xbox Series X is getting console wraps, and these are official. Now this is something that's kind of been around forever, like going all the way back to like the PS2 and the original Xbox and the GameCube. You can get like these wraps to customize them, you know, various different designs and themes and stuff like that. They're like essentially like a, you know, like what you do with a car, you know, where you wrap a car. It's like putting stickers on it. Obviously, they've gotten much better over the years, generations. But with the Xbox 360, they had started doing the faceplates, which that was actually a really cool thing. I think they could have stuck with that with future consoles. Like, I mean, they kind of abandoned it that generation, but it was a really neat thing because the 360 right out the gate was trying so many neat things. You know, there was Xbox Live, there was digital downloads. The ability to customize the console, you know, with the faceplates, all that kind of stuff. But anyways, there isn't really an equivalent to that now, but the Xbox Series X and the S would too. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't bring them out for that, because technically the S has sold more units than the X. But they're kind of perfect because they're just flat boxes. Like the Series X is literally just a tower, like you see the silhouette right there, but a, you know, rectangle tower. And then the Series S is basically the same thing, only it's, you know, half the size. But we're getting a new customization item known as console wraps to give the platform. It will give the platforms more unique visual flair. Over the past few years, Xbox competitor PlayStation has started to release a variety of plates for the PS5 consoles that come in different colors and can be swapped out freely. This is a lie. This is very, very much a lie. Because if you ever look it up, it's a huge pain in the ass. The removal of the weird flaring plates on the side of the PS5 is a pain in the ass, and then, you know, putting the new ones on. But I mean, if you were doing it once and you had colors, like, it honestly does look pretty cool with the color aspect. I don't think the PS5 is like that cool looking as a console, but now Microsoft is releasing a similar product for Xbox Series X that will begin rolling out this fall. Unveiled on Xbox Wire today, Microsoft showed off these console wraps for the first time. They're designed to wrap around the Series X consoles tightly to give the platform a certain thematic look. Currently, Microsoft has announced 3, most notably tied to Bethesda's Starfield, which is Xbox's next major exclusive, releasing early September. The other 2 wraps are camo style, Arctic camo and mineral camo. Arctic camo sounds familiar. I think there's a controller that's Arctic camo, but actually I want to play the video because I haven't actually seen it yet myself. So let's play the little clip here. Is there sound? Is there supposed to be sound? Maybe, maybe not. I paused the music because I thought there would be sound to it. I guess that'll be the background. Okay. Now, are they vinyl? Or are they something else? I like the details they put on. Okay, so that's pretty cool. That is... What? That's really different than I expected, actually. Yeah. See, I was thinking of wraps. Like, okay, I was very wrong. So I don't know if these are like, these don't look like they stick on. It looks like it literally wraps around it and hugs the device. I'm used to, in the past, they were like vinyl stickers almost, and they were called wraps for consoles. So this is actually really cool. If it's like really easily swappable, because that almost looks like it's magnetic or something. Oops. Maybe there's more details down here. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So Xbox, one thing, they've always been really good at doing special edition consoles. I'm sorry, they are better than anybody else at this. From the original Xbox. But if you get a magnet near a computer, it will explode. But from the original Xbox to the 360, the Xbox One, and now the Series, Microsoft makes the absolute best custom console designs, themed consoles. Partly because, again, most of the consoles are basically some form of square or box, so it makes it a pretty good canvas. But this is neat because they said it's a more affordable and sustainable purchase than purchasing a special edition or limited edition console. So yeah, like, think about it. I already own this console. It cost me $500 3 years ago. I don't want to buy another one unless they do like a crazy upgraded one or something. But maybe I want to have it look really cool and be able to swap out different designs but not have to buy a whole new console. I think that's pretty cool. The wraps were designed specifically for Series X and have a custom precision fit. Every detail was taken into consideration to ensure a console's performance is preserved. Vents are all clear, and small feet were added to the bottom of the wraps to ensure air can flow freely through the console. Made with solid core panels, that's cool, that are layered with high-tech fabric finishes, the wraps are folded around your console and secured with a hook and loop enclosure. Bro, that's cool. That's like genius. I mean, it's super simple, but it totally makes sense. But nobody's ever done it before. That's actually really legit. So I saw this picture earlier and I thought it was a Starfield Special Edition console, which they may have something like that already, but this is a really, really cool alternative to going and chasing after exclusive consoles and having to pay for that. This is like $55 or $50. That's legit. That's really cool. I might actually end up getting something like this. So you can, like, on the fly, you can customize your Xbox and change it or just completely take it off. I really hope that I hope that they are successful enough that they decide to just keep pumping these things out. That's really neat. It may signal that they're not going to do alternate colors and stuff for the console, honestly, if you think about it. Because in console generations past, console makers were a lot more likely to do colored consoles. Like the GameCube had a whole bunch of them. The original Xbox had, well, for instance, I have the see-through green one, but it was still a special edition. 360 had white. Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. But the 360 started out white, then they introduced the black ones, and then kind of went back and forth with stuff on the Xbox One. So this is really neat. The camo models will then retail for $44.99 and will launch a bit later on November 10th. That's a great concept, though. So you're like, you know what? I want to customize the console I already spent $500 on. $50, and I can get this really cool jacket. Oh my god. Colored consoles. Jesus. He's trying to get me banned off of YouTube. But it's like basically like a jacket. I like the fact that it uses solid core panels and then the high-tech fabric finishes. That's probably got a really quality, like, high-end feel to it. That's unexpected. I honestly, 100% going into this, I didn't know anything else about this. But reading it, I thought this was going to be like vinyl wraps. This is way cooler, actually. Because then you can be like, I want to play Starfield. and put the Starfield one on. And then later you're like, you know what, I'm going to take it off. I just want the standard console. And then maybe you get in a mood and you're like, you know what, let's drop the Arctic camo. What would be great, because the prices, it says, seems to be changing with the designs. The Starfield one was $50. The camo models are $45. What would be really cool is if they did it so they could have like basic colors, like a really cool, like, I don't know, indigo or a green, like, put out an Xbox green one, but have those be a little cheaper, like $35 or something. Wait, what? When? Who's? I never said that. I don't think I did. When did I say the white one is the best? You guys know you can clip this? I don't think I said that. I know I did say colored consoles. I was just like, that is racist, sir. You were trying to, what is it the chicks on the internet say? You were manifesting it. Hoping you would say it. Then it is a quote. That's funny. Continuing with the Xbox 360 stuff, though. Oh, my video is about to, or my music's about to run out here. Okay, there's another one. So, this person, like most people who write about video game news, doesn't know what he's talking about. It's pretty normal. This guy, for this place, the impending Xbox 360 store closure makes me wary of Game Pass future. All right, so I'll go through the article, obviously. I feel like it's one of those things where I think this person is like well-intentioned, but they're just kind of dumb. So, the Xbox 360 digital store is closing. As in, if you have an Xbox 360 still hooked up, which there are some people that do, they're shutting that store down. It kind of makes sense. You can't leave it up forever. Nintendo just did this with the 3DS and Wii U eShops earlier this year, which is why there was like a mad rush for people to get access to a 3DS or whatever and download all their games. Or like I owned some Pokemon games already, and I wanted to own whatever else I could as well. So I actually got a 3DS from a friend of mine. Oh, the watch? Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, those usually sell out like shortly after they're announced. But I ended up grabbing a 3DS from a friend of mine like 2-3 days before. You're a Pokemon. But like 2 or 3 days before they shut down the store. Just so that I could get access to the stuff I already owned, get it downloaded, and then buy other stuff too. So now I'm set. Now I have it. I don't have to worry about it ever being gone. I can transfer it to a new device, whatever. Unfortunately, the way Nintendo handles their store and their backwards compatibility is really anti-consumer. So if you didn't get stuff you owned, if you didn't get that device, you have no access to many of those things. So a lot of the classic Pokemon games, for instance, you can't get them on the Switch. It's just not possible. They don't have them available there. And the only place they do have some of them available is their subscription service. So you can't own it. You can't be like, I want to own these Pokemon games or whatever and download them and have them forever on the device, even if the Switch system shuts down, the Nintendo network. You can only get them through access to their subscription. Definitely Cocoa Pebble. Or wait. Life. Out of those three, definitely Life. It gets the soggiest, so it's the best. However, Xbox handles things way different. Right, Nintendo is, they're like the dumbest smart company because they have some of the absolute best franchises in the history of gaming, some of the most iconic and best-selling, absolute system seller, whether it's Pokemon, whether it's Mario, Zelda, Kirby, Metroid, Star Fox. Like, they've got an insane collection, like an insane library of exclusives. And yet they do the absolute least or possibly work against your being able to access those things. I've talked about this before on a stream where there was like a study that was done. I can't remember who did it, but they're like kind of an important figure in video games history and all that. But where they found that I think it was over 90% of games that are like 10 years old and beyond are just unaccessible on any modern console. Even a lot of it on PC, because I know PC has a lot of access. Even a lot of it isn't there. It's just not available in any store, Steam or whatever. But Xbox has handled their stuff a lot differently than Nintendo. This shutting down the Xbox 360 store literally just means shutting down the Xbox 360, like that actual hardware, its ability to log into a store and buy stuff and download it. If you go onto your Xbox One or your Xbox Series console, everything that has already been made available digitally as an Xbox 360 game or DLC, you could access it like it's there. Same for Xbox One games. Basically, everything Xbox One is backwards compatible to the series. Like, I'm pretty sure there's nothing other than maybe some specific items that you can't buy. Like, they merged, the stores are one store on the series consoles. And going forward, that seems to be how Xbox intends to handle it. Like, they're very big on their history preservation, like your ability to access previous generations of Xbox games. So whatever the next console is from Xbox, it's almost certainly going to be fully backwards compatible to the series, to Xbox One, and then to content that's already been brought forward from the 360 and the original. So this whole article is really kind of silly, because essentially he's saying with them shutting down that store, he's worried about Game Pass future and being able to access that stuff. He does realize that Game Pass, nothing on there is permanent except for Xbox published games, Microsoft published games. Everything else on there has probably some sort of expiration date. There's lots of times where like every month there's like certain games that drop off of the service, and then other ones that come onto it. So if he means the Xbox store, okay, that's a little bit different story. If he's worried that they might shut that down or take content off of it, sure. But there's nothing seen to imply that. We're 3 generations into Microsoft making sure you can access your previous generation stuff, basically. I don't think they're going to be changing that anytime soon. They're out of the 3 big companies, Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox, technically Xbox is probably the one with the least extensive exclusive library. I mean, they do have them, but out of all those, they've been around a lot. Nintendo and Sony have been around longer, especially Nintendo. And yet they're doing the most to preserve that. It's just kind of a thing for them. So he's sitting here saying they're going to shut down the Xbox 360 store in July 2024. After that date, it will be impossible to buy games, movies, or TV shows digitally on the Xbox 360 store. It's just like what happened with the 3DS and Wii U eShops earlier this year. With these changes, Microsoft is stamping out any support or focus it's giving to the Xbox 360's era as a platform. As someone who grew up mostly playing Xbox 360, seeing these things I grew up with go away is saddening. It also makes me think about the day this will eventually happen to Xbox Game Pass or the store on the Xbox One or Xbox Series S. Yes, but again, it's very different. Nintendo leaves you no way to access these things on the Switch. on consoles that can't come after, right? They shut down these eShops completely, and these eShops were independent of what is currently on Nintendo. The difference here is this store, the Xbox 360 store, that's more of like a gateway on the Xbox 360. When it comes to the content that was on that store, it is all that content that is in that store is currently accessible on both Xbox One and Series X, and on the next Xbox console, I'm sure it's going to continue the same way forward. So it's a very different thing. The Xbox families of consoles have not been independent of each other digitally for the last 2 generations. I don't think that's going to change. Microsoft has given no indication that it plans on abandoning Xbox Game Pass. It's a really successful subscription service, heavily integrated its platforms. Blah, 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 blah. All he's losing here, and I don't think he notices it, all he's losing here is the ability to plug in his Xbox 360 and buy stuff and download it. It says, these recent actions have indicated that Microsoft will eventually be willing to do the same to storefronts and subscription service we're currently using, even after the backlash PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox all face from these announcements. Sony is the only one that has backtracked its plans to close down older digital storefronts, at least temporarily. Again, I really don't know who qualifies these people to write these things, because if they did, they would give you better context regarding them, because the context here, the context here is, again, Sony backtracked from closing down its older digital storefronts because in most cases you can't access those same items on future consoles, on current consoles, like the PS5. There's actually still a lot of content from the PS4 and definitely the PS3 and PS2 that you can't get on PS5. So leaving that storefront open is kind of vital. It's not the same for Xbox. It's all moved forward. Yeah. I really don't like games journalists. What happens to the Xbox console versions of games like Pentiment or Immortality on Xbox once Game Pass and the current iteration of the Xbox Store are shuttered? Yes, they can be played on PC, but the Xbox console version will be lost forever. No, it won't, because you'll have a new generation of Xbox console accessing the same storefront. And right now, it doesn't seem like Microsoft's playing. Anyways, game preservation is a significant problem facing the games industry, and Microsoft has just made a move showing that it's on the wrong side. Oh my God. The ignorance here. Microsoft is by far, whatever other problems they have, they are by far doing the most to work in favor of game preservation. Like I said, I've said it too many times. I don't need to say it again. This is not a problem. I just can't. Starting in July next year, I won't be able to hook my 360 up and download stuff. That's it. But all the stuff that was downloadable is accessible on the Xbox Series X. I wish I could tell this person why they're dumb. Oh my goodness. What if there's comments on this? Because if there is, I would hope somebody called it out. But here we go. I did it on stream. Thomas Franzese. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Sorry. Blinks the Time Sweeper is actually on Xbox Game Pass, which means it is on the current Xbox Store because it was made backwards compatible during the 360 era. So everything from the original Xbox that was made backwards compatible on 360 came forward with everything that was made backwards compatible from the 360 to the Xbox One. And then from that point, everything that was already made backwards compatible as an original Xbox and as a 360 game was integrated into the Xbox One store. And everything Xbox One, essentially it was like there was no platform change between the Xbox One and the Series X or the Series consoles. If you buy a Series console, everything you purchased as an Xbox One game plays on it as if it's an Xbox One. Like there's no difference. And also, everything that was previously made backwards compatible as a 360 or original Xbox game, same. Everything I've ever bought digitally on the Xbox 360, I can currently access on my Series X. And that won't change when they close the 360 store. And all those 360 games are still going to be available on the current Xbox store. So there's no actual loss. But the 5,000 people who probably still plug in a 360 every so often just won't be able to buy anything new and download it. So between now and July of next year, if you have a 360 and you have content you want to be able to access on it, just plug it in, download everything you own. Get like an external hard drive or something, or plug in a memory card. Download everything you want to buy or that you have owned, and boom, you're set. You'll still be able to play it all on 360. You just won't be able to get anything new, and there won't be updates. And then on Series X, everything you bought on your 360, you can actually still play. Anyways, it just frustrates me, like, because I've also known some of these people, like in the past. I actually briefly wrote for a small time. They were small time then, but they're actually considerably bigger now. It's Niche Gamer, or the Niche Gamer, something like that. But it was years and years ago, and I had started talking to these people on Twitter. They were starting a new website, and they were looking for writers. And I was like, "Yo, I'm good at writing. I know my stuff about video games, and I'm a gamer." So I got in on it, and I was writing with them. We had some disagreements about what I wanted to write about, because they're like, "Oh, we want to stay niche. We want to stick to like independent and unknown games, and like basically like anime games and stuff like that." And that led to, like, I was trying to write about something. It wasn't even a big deal game. It was a smaller time game, right? And they were like, "Yeah, no, that's not going to work for us." And I was like, you know what? Like, I wasn't enjoying the time I was writing for them, right? So I left. I was like, I'm done. Now they're actually, it's funny, when you look at them now on Twitter, they cover everything. There's no like, "Oh, we're trying to stay with this specific little genre," or these, we don't want to cover mainstream stuff. They cover all that crap. So they quote unquote sold out on what they wanted to do anyways. But anyways, like I said, I knew, because of that, I knew the other people who wrote on that site, and there was like chats and stuff with other people that were quote unquote games journalists. And I swear, the people who write about video games are always like the dumbest about video games. I don't understand it. Like, that article like is the number one example I would give. This person knows nothing about how forward compatibility or backwards compatibility works on the platform that they are writing about. And so they're saying this dumb stuff, and some person who doesn't really know any better, they're going to read that article and feel like that's the truth, because the vast majority of people don't do their research. They just read, they'll read the stupid headline, go check out an article, and that's it. So I don't know how many people might have read that, it's Digital Trends or something like that, which is a fairly popular site. I don't know how many people would read that article, but they'll leave from that article thinking, "Oh my God, that's really crappy. Why would they shut down Xbox 360 stuff? No one will be able to access that." And it's like, that's not true at all. Like, the 360 has been irrelevant for years. Yeah, UI design. I'm hopefully, I haven't looked into that. Maybe I'll bring it up. but like, because the starting menu isn't needlessly complicated. Yeah, that's a major problem these days. I feel like all the good user interface designers like died off like 10 years ago for like every game. So, but yeah, you have a lot of uninformed people or casually informed people who don't do any kind of research, and they're obviously ignorant about stuff, that end up writing about stuff like they're some sort of authority. And it's actually really frustrating as somebody who, I don't know, I make content now, and I've always been into writing, and I've always paid attention to what goes on with like the gaming industry and stuff. Like, these are really simple things. It's not that hard to know. Like, if you're going to write about like, I wouldn't go just start writing about the PS5 without knowing at least about the specific thing I was going to talk about, the specific feature or capability or service or something, right? I would have to go either know about it or go research it so I knew what I was talking about. This person obviously had no idea how the Microsoft Store works on Xbox platforms to say something like that. Yeah, the spending more money thing, like, I understand what's going on. Yeah, job security, obviously change is required, so we gotta make something new. You'll run out of UX designers once you've made the best user interfaces. But you'll notice when you play a lot of these games, they're basically designed to force you to spend as much time as possible in the menus, trying to make your way around, while also bombarding you with ads or possible purchases or whatever, right? Like, I play Warzone. That's my big online game, right? That menu system is so unnecessarily convoluted. You sit there and you use it and you're like, how does this person have a job still? It doesn't make any sense. But then you also realize that some of it is on purpose. Because yeah, a free-to-play game like a Battle Royale it's making its money off of you making microtransactions. Either in mini games, some sort of loot box, or in the case of like aesthetics or aesthetic bundles, or power up things for like XP and all that kind of stuff. And so they don't build the menu around ease of navigation, like getting to the point you're supposed to get to and going. They build it around moving you through storefronts. Like, everything is basically a storefront. Right. Major games hire 1 to 10 marketing psychologists to optimize playtime and profits. Now, that's their prerogative to try and get people to spend more time in the game and make a profit out of it. But they shoot themselves in the foot. This is why I say psychology is a faux science as well. But they shoot themselves in the foot. Very basic logic would say people are more likely to spend time in your game if they enjoy your game. And if they aren't constantly frustrated by menu systems and other dumb features that are purposefully like obstacles put into your game, they'll probably come back to that game more often and spend more time playing it. So using Warzone, because it's kind of the primary thing I play at all at the moment until Sea of Stars and Starfield. In Warzone, I can get into a match, I die, so I lose, and instead of just giving me the option to hit, it does have an option to basically reload, right? But even just getting to that is multiple clicks. There's all this crap that pops up on the screen, and you're stuck there looking at it until you can press the rematch or whatever it is, where it puts you back into. How do you create a game that people enjoy? That's a difficult thing to quantify. It's especially difficult if people don't have any idea what they're doing. This is true. But then say I back out, right? I don't want to do a relaunch from within the match that I just finished. I want to go out to the menu and I want to start it there. I want to do something else in the menus before I start, right? If I hit back or exit the match, it doesn't take me back to the lobby screen where I selected Battle Royale solos, right? It takes me all the way back, like 3 other layers of menu, to where, oh great, I've got to scroll down 3 or 4 rows and move over 3 or 4 columns. I got to scroll down just to get back to the Battle Royale section, and then I've got to scroll over just to get back to Battle Royale solos, and then click on that to get back to the lobby screen. That's incredibly frustrating. There's a lot of times where I literally just want to exit out and do something real quick and go back into my game, like to relaunch it again. And of course, the whole time they're doing this, there's pop-up, like there's things on the screen that are basically trying to get you to buy stuff, right? The stuff that costs $20, So first of all, eliminate clicks. That used to be a big thing in like operating system and user interface design. I remember this because back in the day we paid a lot of attention to it with like Windows Phone, because Windows Phone eliminated clicks. Like, how many times do you have to click to get to the thing that you're trying to use? Windows Phone got rid of a lot of it, because a lot of things you didn't even have to enter the apps to access their features. But that used to be kind of like the big standard for when it came to video games and operating systems and applications and pieces of hardware, was eliminating clicks. How many times do I have to tap something, click on something, whatever, to get to what I want to get to? It used to be called being intuitive, intuitive design. And it's completely gone now because everything is focused on trying to shove stuff in your face to sell it to you. Keep in mind, Zoomers like crafting games that require you to poop and drink water every 5 seconds and scrolling Netflix menu for many hours. They like mindless time sinks and needless barriers to play. That's very true. What is that whole genre of games? Idle games? Well, yeah, and $20 is cheap when you use mom's credit card on him to work job. That's true. But there's all these things. Like I said, they make the menus convoluted, unnecessarily convoluted, just to like you said, optimize time in game. But you know what? Like I said, what would optimize your time in game and how much people came back to your game is if you made it less frustrating just to get to things, to get to a certain screen, a certain menu, a certain option, and start playing. If you eliminated those obstacles and barriers, you'd have people play your game more. They'd be more likely to go open it up. Hey, do you want to call yourself a gamer but can't stop mindlessly scrolling through social media long enough to play? Have you tried an idle game? That's hilarious. So there's that, right? And then, okay, so they want you to buy stuff. Like, do we remember horse armor? Speaking of the 360, like basically the first piece of aesthetic DLC for a game, for Oblivion, they put out the horse armor. Yeah, that's because they all have like attention deficit disorder. But when that was put out, I think it was like $20 to buy this stupid aesthetic piece of horse armor for Oblivion. And it was a joke. Like, it was laughed at so badly that essentially they dropped the price and were like, oops. And for a while there, it kind of set the standard. Like, there was such backlash to it that it was like, oh, okay, apparently we can't make digital aesthetic items, like new skins for something in a game. We can't make that ungodly expensive. Until about 10 years ago. And then it started. And then it really got bad probably in the last 5 or 6 years. Like, when you go into... Again, I'm just going to keep saying Warzone because it's the thing I have the most experience with. But when you go into Warzone, you have all these operators, right? The different characters that you can play as. Now, number one, you don't even get to see these characters. Right, exactly. You know what they say about frogs and boiling water. I use that. $20 for blue? But yeah, I use I use that term all the time. You know, it's like boiling frog or frogs or crabs. It's also the same thing for crabs if I remember right. But yeah. You slowly turn up the temperature until they're acclimated to it and they don't realize that they're boiling, and that's what happened. Like in Warzone, you'll have these character skins, for instance, and you buy them in a bundle that usually includes like weapon skins and various other things. Some a banner, like a calling card for your profile, things like that, right? Huh? The heck are you talking about? Crabs can't go in water. They completely dissolve. But you'll see one of these bundles, and it's $20. $20 for a character model or a different like outfit for a character, and like one or two gun skins, and then like a banner thing, some sort of little bonus, XP bonus, whatever, things like that, right? $20. And like I said, the sad part is you can't even see your character because it's a first-person shooter, and you can barely see other people's characters. So it's not like, oh, other people will see it. You barely see them. Most of the time, if you see somebody, it's for like 5 seconds before you kill them and you run away because you don't want to die. So the only place you really see these character skins is like in the menus and like the loading screen when you're waiting to join a match. So you're going to spend $20 on that. So obviously they make money off of it. They make tens of millions, hundreds of millions, sometimes billions across, different games and platforms. And my thought is, yeah, they're making that money because there are some stupid people willing to pay that $20. But imagine if they cut it in half or a third or something like that, right? Like for me personally, I don't buy that stuff. I did once for the first version of Warzone. I bought Alex Zedra. We talked about that before. But like, if you cut that price in half for all these aesthetic packages and all that kind of stuff, you would have so many more people that would be an impulse buy that you would make far more money than you did at the original price. So in every sense, they're dumb about these things. Whether it's, oh, we want to keep people, we want to optimize game time, we want to keep people in the game. Well, then make the game less frustrating to play and people are more likely to play it. And then on the other one, don't charge stupid amounts of money for aesthetics that people don't even actually get to see when they play. Lower those prices and you'll sell more and therefore make more money. Psychology is a faux science. So if they're paying people to do what they're doing now, I think they're kind of dumb. Wait, crabs? Boiling? Mr. Krabs? Money? EA? EA or Activision. They're the worst. EA, Activision, Ubisoft. Nobody really talks about Ubisoft these days. They've kind of like fallen into the background. They're like a new Assassin's Creed game every couple years, and then, you know, what else? So moving on from games journalists being dumb and game developers being dumb and half of everything about the game industry these days being dumb. A good move, I suppose, if you're a PlayStation user. First of all, if you didn't know, there's a Metal Gear Solid collection coming out that actually looks pretty cool. As somebody who's never really played Metal Gear Solid, but as time has gone on, some of these older franchises have become more interesting to me. I'm probably going to get this. It's coming to PS5, Series X, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. It's Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, because obviously there's a lot of games in this series. It includes Metal Gear Solid, the original game, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, and Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. In a post on X, also known as Twitter. Apparently they got a lot of demand for them to release it on PS4 as well, because really there's a lot of PS4s out there. That was like it. If I can't remember if the PS4 outsold the Wii, but the Wii of course is like the top selling console of all time. PS4 was pretty close to like 100 million units. So there's a lot of those out there, and even though we're a few years into this generation, you know, you still have a lot of people still playing last generation consoles. So apparently they got a lot of demand for it to come out on the PS4, and so that's going to happen. So it'll be the Nintendo Switch, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, and Steam. But there you have it, the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. And that comes out October 24th. Well, the originally announced platforms says that, you know, we don't actually know when the PS4 version might. But still, it's pretty cool. I think I bought one of these, or there was a Metal Gear Solid game that was on the Xbox 360, and it was on sale on the Xbox store because you can access the 360 stuff. And I bought that for like $2 or $3 or something stupid like that. And I played it for like 20 minutes. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. But I've never played any of these other classic games from the series. I bought one. I think it's on the original Xbox. Hang on, let me take a look. Oh yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance. I have no idea like what place in the series it holds, or you know what its significance is to the overall franchise. But so not Sons of Liberty, but Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance. It was on the original Xbox, and I spotted it at the game store like 6 months ago. I was like, oh, I guess I should get that. I have not played it yet, because I'd have to hook up my original Xbox to do that. On the 360, I bought some other older Metal Gear Solid game and played it for a bit, and it was pretty cool. I wouldn't mind getting into these with that classic tactical style of gameplay, but you have to have access to them, so that's why I'm glad they're doing this little collection. I'll probably end up getting it. They're also working on a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 called Metal Gear Solid Delta. So is that so I don't know a whole lot about the series, like, except for what Video Game Donkey. I think I watched one of his videos where he went over it. I can't remember, but because I know that there will be multiple Metal Gear Solid 2s, for instance, like there's Sons of Liberty and I Own Substance, and then there's Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater right here, part of the collection. But then they're saying they're doing a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 called Metal Gear Solid Delta. Is that the same as this Metal Gear Solid 3? I guess we'll have to find out. But it's going to be like a full remake in the vein of like the Resident Evil remakes and all that, where they're redoing the whole game over in a modern engine. However, one thing that is kind of cool is apparently they're actually using... Oh, okay, so Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. So maybe it is that original one. Yeah. So the same game that's going to be in that collection, that's getting remade. He's racist. He likes Super Mario Bros. 2. Super Mario Bros. 2 is a good game if you take it for what it is. Yeah, so, okay. So those 3 games, the third one, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, that's getting a remake as well. So far, it's scheduled to come out this autumn on PS5. Oh, wait, no, the collection. This will come to PS5, Series X, Windows, PC. Okay. But that's cool because it would be kind of neat to play one of those old school games, but in a modern engine with modern graphics. It's widely considered to be one of the best stealth action games of all time, released in 2004 for the PS2. The game serves as a prequel to previous games in the series, following protagonist Snake as he infiltrates a Soviet military base in the Russian wilderness. While other entries in the franchise are filled with high-tech gadgets and weaponry, MGS3 was more lo-fi, with a focus on using camouflage to hide in each area, and of course hunting down forest animals like snakes to keep your stamina levels replenished. It'll be a faithful remake, and will star the original voice characters, rich storyline, and expansive features of combat survival, and harsh environments evolved with unprecedented graphics and immersive sound. The other article said that it's actually going to essentially use the same recordings. So it's going to use the same audio that was recorded from the original Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. It's just going to kind of import them over. So that's kind of cool. It's going to stay completely faithful in that sense. I'm not super happy about the Silent Hill 2 remake stuff because I would have loved to play that, but of course they made it PlayStation exclusive. I'm sure it'll come to Xbox in like a year or whatever, but... So, you know what this makes... Because obviously I've never been a huge Metal Gear Solid fan. Like, it's more recently. I'm like, yeah, that seems like a good series. I wouldn't mind checking it out, you know? But Splinter Cell. I've always been a fan of Splinter Cell. I've played the original one for the original Xbox multiple times. Of course, with the other games, it's been a little bit more of a casual playing. I should really go back and just play through all the original trilogy from start to finish, because Chaos Theory, I remember when Chaos Theory came out, there was all this hype over it, and it was the first game to ever get like 10 out of 10 and all this kind of stuff, right, for the Xbox magazine and all that. So it's Splinter Cell Chaos Theory is supposed to be one of the greatest games of all time. It seems like everybody's forgotten about it though. So I want to go back and replay that whole trilogy. But I'd love to see the Splinter Cell series get like faithful remakes. At least the first one. Like imagine the... Yes. Briefly. And then I didn't. But imagine if they took the original Splinter Cell with that stealth action, you know, the kind of hardcore stealth action that it used, and remake that in a modern game engine, have it playable, and then you could even do like some sort of like, if you wanted to, some sort of online game. But you could spend 5 hours crafting fabric. You know, I actually recently, it was like a couple months ago, I was bored one day, and because I have access to Game Pass, I was like, what the hell, why not? I downloaded Minecraft. And for about an hour, it was awesome. Like, this is great, you know, run around, gathering stuff, building I basically built a big wall around like a section of land next to the ocean. then put um, torches all along the top of the wall and like on the inside of the wall and the outside, like basically just making it so there was no chance that mobs were going to spawn in that area. And then I out and into the water in front of the piece of land, I built land bridge, little land paths out into the water and put torches on those. So I was pretty well protected from like mobs and stuff. And I just hung out in there. I built a house. I crafted all this stuff. I put like doors onto my wall so I could get in and out. And once I did all that, I was like, okay, well, I guess I beat Minecraft. I'm safe now. And then I was bored and done. That, I don't know, that tends to happen with any kind of sandbox game for me. Like there's got to be a pretty good point to it. Otherwise I'm going to get bored pretty quick. I'm like definitely a bigger fan of more structured games. Like they don't have to be completely linear, but at least have a point to what I'm doing. But, you know, like why am I doing this? Where is it leading me? What is the actual goal of this game? This game, if you like classic style JRPGs, I made a couple shorts. I just want a trailer. I made a couple shorts on the channel that showed like the combat and showed the fishing. Actually, surprisingly, I enjoyed the fishing. But Sea of Stars, really cool. Yeah, according to Smithsonian, setting goals is racist. That's true. They did do that. Alright, so I think I can only find the PlayStation one. But if you like classic style RPGs with some like newer quality of life type stuff, this is going to be an awesome game. I played a bit of the demo. And I've actually been following the development of this game for a couple of years now. And at first I was a little upset because they had only, and I didn't realize it was like a Kickstarter thing, but they had only announced it for PlayStation, Switch, and Steam, I think. But then this was like 5 months ago. Apparently they hit some sort of stretch goal that put it on Xbox. And not only that, but I had like lobbied on Twitter with the studio. I was like, you got to get it on Game Pass. You got to get it on Game Pass. That's going to be a big thing, right? And I don't know if it was specifically me. But then when it was announced for Xbox, it was also announced it was coming to Game Pass. So I'm very happy about that. So this is Sea of Stars Xbox announcement trailer. I'm really excited for this game. It's going to be good. That's really cool too. Masuda, I think that's who they said it was. Mitsuda. Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, Xenoblade Chrono. So this is like a, kind of a legendary composer for JRPGs. So having him do some music on this, that's pretty cool. that might be my favorite thing in the combat is that moonerang. Just a few days away. Things are starting to move. The art style is beautiful too, because like I said, I played the demo, and like obviously a video and a demo look very different. But playing, seeing it in HD, on TV, it's a gorgeous game. It's very much has that retro look to it and style, of course, but it's very beautiful in HD. The music is fantastic, and I don't know. There's a lot of these JRPG wannabes that come out these days. I mean, there's some of them that are good, but I think that they'll use the excuse that they're trying to be like a retro style JRPG as a means to kind of be bare bones. And with Sea of Stars, it's very much a retro style JRPG. Yeah, I prefer older JRPGs when technology kept them from being able to do super long cutscenes of just dialogue boxes. Yeah, and this one, I mean, it's got your story and dialogue, but the game itself, besides graphically being very like high fidelity but looking retro, it doesn't feel like an old game. Like, yes, it has that style, and of course it's a turn-based JRPG, but it has like modern twists to it. Like I said, there's things in the combat and the fishing gameplay and stuff. It kind of expands on the concepts that it's based on. So I'm really looking forward to it. Of course it's on PlayStation, Switch, and PC, but it's going to be on Xbox Game Pass for both Xbox One and Series. So if you have Game Pass, definitely check it out. Very much worth it. Especially if you do not have a Series console to be able to play Starfield, you'll at least have Sea of Stars. I actually own... I know I own at least the first Shining Force. I believe I own both of the original Shining Force games for the Sega Genesis. Of course, I also own a Sega Genesis. And yeah, probably my favorite JRPGs of all time. Love those games. But that series continued. The Sega Saturn actually did continue Shining Force, but it was a weird situation where the game was broken up into chapters, and only the first chapter, if I remember right, only the first chapter of it was translated to English and published in the West. So if you want to play the complete game, for, I think it was like Shining Force 3 or something like that, unfortunately the second and third parts were never localized and put into English. And they're, of course, really hard to find because, unfortunately, the Sega Saturn didn't sell extremely well, so there's not many of those available, and games printed for it, obviously, are less available. So, but the series did eventually continue. They just don't call it Shining Force. I actually have a game on... I bought it on Xbox One, but I can obviously still play it. But it's like Shining Resonance. And supposedly it's technically still part of the Shining universe. But obviously things are considerably different than they were with the Shining Force series. I've never actually played Dragon Quest. put some of that stuff on Game Pass the last couple years. I just never tried it. You know, it was actually a really good RPG for a JRPG that was on the Xbox 360 as an Xbox exclusive was Blue Dragon. I don't know if y'all remember that one. But this was actually a really cool game. It had a really neat little anime intro. The world was really big. The combat was pretty cool. Let me pull this up. No, there was others. I was actually playing this. I think it came out, but I was playing this when we actually had that apartment together. Pretty sure. But the shadows, that was a neat system for the combat and stuff. Yeah, this was one of the 360 early on actually did a pretty good job of getting like Japanese RPGs, because you had Blue Dragon was an exclusive. You had the 99 Nights games, Lost Odyssey. There was another one too, I just can't remember it. But this one in particular had a lot of like famous JRPG designers and music directors and stuff involved in it. I feel like if it had been more successful in sales and they were able to like continue the series, it could have been like Xbox's Final Fantasy. I think I got something like 50 hours into it or something like that, and then I never actually got to finish it. If I remember right, I can't remember if it was like a sequel or something, but there was actually one that came to the DS. They did a Blue Dragon game after this, but oh, the old 360 logo spin. Yeah. Back in the day, they got some good exclusive JRPGs. It just, you know, they didn't take off like they could have. You know, like you can't force a console, you know, audience to be into a certain genres. There's more demand for it now, but back then, you know, people bought the 360 to play primarily shooters and stuff. Wait, what the heck? Huh. Oh yeah, they did do an anime. I forgot about that. And there's the 3DS version. A little bit different setup, I think, for that one. But yeah, I have a copy of this. I might just have to pop it in one day, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. Because between Sea of Stars coming out on the 29th, I'll play that for a few days, but then Starfield comes out September 6th. So that's going to be like pretty immediately right there, sucked into Starfield. um, between Starfield and the new Forza Motorsport both coming out this fall, there's going to be very little else I'm going to play for probably the next 6 months to a year. Because Forza Motorsport is one where like you just have this huge career, simulator racing, and going through the career, buying cars, building up your collection there, doing tuning and customization. It's kind of like, I don't know, I guess like the Elder Scrolls of car games. But yeah, with having Starfield and Forza both out, there's not going to be much time for me to play much else. So whatever else comes out that I don't like get into very quickly and finish is going to end up falling by the wayside, unfortunately. Yeah, I think this is going to be real big. How it captures Chrono Trigger's magic. Let's go ahead and check that out. I don't know if we'll watch the whole thing, but I want to see what he has to say.
Sea of Stars by Sabotage Studio is one of my most anticipated games of 2023, and I'll tell you why it should be yours too. Yes, I know Tears of the Kingdom is coming out first, but I'm still very excited for this.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Zelda.
Yeah, that's right. Silksong is still coming out this year too. Right, guys? I mean, Microsoft said so, right? Guys? Now that we have a release date and a demo for the Switch, now's a great time to get up to speed on what the heck this game is. To do that, I'm going to cover everything from the dev team, gameplay, art and sound design, the story of the game,
it is an independent studio, if I remember,
successful Kickstarter.
Because it was a Kickstarter thing.
Much of the game's development has been shared via character biographies, game clips, music track releases, and Switch Q&A streams. So there's a lot to cover, but I'm going to try my best to keep this succinct.
Sabotage
and share the best clips and info we have so far. By the way, this game is heavily inspired by one of the greatest JRPGs of all time, Chrono Trigger, and even has some Super Mario RPG influence, but we'll get to that in much greater detail in a minute. But first, let's talk about developer Sabotage Studio and how they chose to follow up their successful platformer released in 2018.
Well, that looks pretty cool.
Something that looks like this, and how the heck this game got fully backed on Kickstarter in under 7 hours. So let's find out how this Canadian studio came to develop this JRPG-style adventure. Welcome to In Development, where I cover the most exciting and unique indie games coming soon. So let's get right into it by starting with the team behind Sea of Stars, Sabotage Studio, whom you may have heard of as the developers of the very successful retro-style platformer, The Messenger.
I mean, I've heard of it. I never played it, but this looks pretty cool.
Onto it. It's good. Play it. Okay, more seriously, The Messenger has been on many Best of Indie Games lists in recent
that looks
years,
sick.
And for good reason. It has the perfect blend of two amazing genres with quick and satisfying movement mechanics, and platforming that provides a nice challenge without feeling brutal. And the music has some real freaking bangers. I mean, listen to this. The Messenger also has one of the most mind-blowing rug pulls I've seen in a game, but we won't get into that to avoid spoilers. With gameplay and an art style clearly based off of Ninja Gaiden, but with approachability much closer to a Mario title, The Messenger has such a delightful
that actually looks like something I wouldn't mind playing.
Modern touches that can be
I don't normally
by
get
a
into
larger
Metroidvanias.
audience. I could go on talking about this game for a while, but you get the point. So how did Sabotage Studio decide to follow up this gem? By tackling a completely different beloved genre, of course, a turn-based RPG inspired heavily by Chrono Trigger. It is only fitting that the game I'm most excited for this year has listed its main inspiration being none other than Chrono Trigger, one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time. A sentiment I'm sure many would agree with, and being that The Messenger has been so well received for how well it's tackled the retro inspiration, that's a big reason you should be excited for Sea of Stars.
I think I owned Chrono Cross or something like that when I had a PS1.
Platformer. I mean, you really don't see this sort of
thing. And I
couldn't
really figure out how to play it because I didn't understand those RPGs back then.
Adventures into spin-offs with Shovel Knight. But let's get back to Sea of Stars, and I think we need to go straight to talking about the gameplay before we get into anything else, as there are some really exciting mechanics to talk about here. As with any RPG, there will be a large world to travel with varied environments, NPCs to interact with, monsters to fight, abilities to learn.
Oh, really?
And you bet there's going to be some juicy lore. Traversal was a major focal
Talking
point
about Chrono
for this
Cross
game, as Sabotage Studio
or
wanted
Trigger?
to take what
I
they
know
learned
Trigger
from
was like the
platforming
SNES
elements
game
of the
everybody loves.
Messenger to really make it feel good to travel around the world.
Yeah, it's
The goal
actually
is to
really
give
fun.
players a strong sense of
Climbing
freedom.
ledges
You
and
traverse through land and sea and discover
jumping
alternate
over
paths
little
with
gaps and
potential
stuff.
secrets to be uncovered. The devs want players to feel like they can reach just about any point on the screen that feels
Swimming.
like it should be
I remember when
traversable, and
I
they
played in
use
the demo, I jumped
tagline,
into water. I was like,
"Unshackled
wait, what? I can
traversal" to
swim?
describe it. And you can see a hint of this in the demo. There's just a ton of verticality in this area, which prevents the game from feeling flat and dull. Now let's get into combat, because I've gotten a good taste of it from the demo, and this just might be one of the most engaging turn-based systems I've played. Taking another page from Chrono Trigger, and with the purpose of making the game more immersive, there will be no random encounters. Every enemy will be clearly on screen, and the battles will take place exactly where you stand in the world. No surprises, and no drastic scene
I did think
changes.
that was really cool.
One of
Like
the
when you
most
got engaged
ambitious
in
goals
a
the devs
battle,
have made for
it
this
just
game is
happened
to
right
create a
there. It didn't
combat
go to like
system that
a
won't
battle
need
scene or
grinding.
anything.
An RPG without grinding is almost unheard of. The devs do not want you to lose a fight and feel like you don't stand a chance until you level up, and instead want you to feel like you need to rethink your strategy and increase your skill. If they succeed at this, and I suspect that they just might based on my experience with the demo, Sea of Stars will become a way more accessible experience for those that might shy away from lengthy RPGs, which require hours-long grinding sessions. But how on earth will they accomplish this? Let me explain. For one, all enemies at certain points during combat can be put into
there's
a
pros and
task
cons to that,
state
because
where
I
they
do
will
feel like
unleash a
sometimes
powerful
that's why I
spell
want to
after
play
so
an
many
RPG is
turns.
that grind, like
Above them will be these boxes called
in
locks,
Pokemon,
with a symbol
at
showing
least the
what
old
type
ones.
of attack can break said lock. Fully disrupt the spell by breaking all the locks in time, or break one or two locks to weaken the spell. Multiple enemies can be put in this state simultaneously, which is where strategy will come into play, as you will need to decide which monsters to prioritize and whether or not you can disregard the locks entirely by overpowering a monster to defeat it before the spell unleashes. Another combat mechanic will be timing-based button presses to perform a follow-up physical attack.
This
or
is the one I
releasing
think
this
is really
magic
cool.
attack at the right time, or to bounce this moonerang back and forth.
I love that
This feels
moonerang.
incredible as the speed increases to insane levels, by the way. The same works for defending against attacks. With good timing, you can brace yourself to take less damage.
Nice.
This is all very similar to mechanics in Super Mario RPG and the Paper Mario series. Well,
Oh yeah,
the good ones.
love
anyway.
Paper Mario.
This will simultaneously add an element of skill and make the typical repetitiveness of turn-based combat feel a lot more interactive. Figuring out the right timing for each attack will need to be learned through experimentation. Placement of enemies will also be a factor.
I love that where they
AoE
can just toss an
attacks
enemy
or
into a different
attacks that
spot.
move in a certain line can be made more useful when you can group enemies together. And there will be attacks or skills that help you move the enemies around in a helpful
I believe
way.
that's getting a remake.
Another way the game
Super
promotes
Mario RPG?
strategy is with combo attacks. During battles, you will earn
I think they
combo
announced that a
points
few
which
months
can
ago.
be traded in for more powerful combo attacks. These are in their own pool separate from magic, so feel free to use them as needed or build up for more powerful combo attacks. It'll go back down to 0 after a battle, so you're encouraged to use your combo points since you can't hoard them for later. That's smart game design. By the way, I feel like I said combo too much there. Are you guys feeling that too? There's even a boost mechanic. Perform regular attacks to release these orbs, which can be absorbed later to increase the effect of any attack or spell. Now we get a chance to experience all of this in the demo, where we get a lot of time in combat to test things out, and I gotta say, it is really engaging.
Yeah, I thought it was
At
pretty
no point
fun.
did I feel like I was on autopilot just going through the motions like what most basic encounters become.
I don't know
in
if he'll get
turn-based
into it in this,
RPG.
but so
It
is
was
some of
really
the
good.
puzzle
Outside of
solving in the game
combat,
was
you can
fun.
set up a campsite to cook different varieties of food, which acts as the game's potions crafting system, allowing you to use food in battles to restore HP or MP. There's materials you can collect while out in the world or buy from a shop, and more recipes will be discovered during your journey. At camp, you'll also get a chance to have Teeks here read stories from her grimoire. These seem to not only contain some lore, but also hint at potential side quests or activities to take part in. At least that was the impression I got from this one story available in the demo. More of these stories become available as you bring her artifacts you can find along your adventure. Another interesting aspect of the game will be its fully dynamic lighting system.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Besides being there to look pretty, it will also feed directly into the gameplay. Certain enemies may only appear at night, and certain puzzles may rely on a shadow cast at a particular time of day. The devs have already stated you will eventually get the power to control light or the time of day. And this
What?
pairs pretty nicely with Chrono Trigger's clever use of time for some puzzles and side quests. There's even going to be a tabletop game you can play in-game called Wheels, which, well, the only real reference to it is on the game's website, so there's no info I'm aware of on
That
this
would be
just
cool.
yet.
I love when they have in-game
And no game is
in-game
complete
games.
without some sweet, sweet fishing.
Yeah, the fishing's
There's a
fun.
fishing spot in the demo, and it was actually really fun. It's engaging, it's fast-paced, and it's practical as fish can be used as resources to cook meals. Now, as far as the art goes, we've seen a lot of art already, with character designs and animations, some of the world being traversed, and the combat. And I probably don't have to tell
it's
you
a
how good
beautiful
this
game.
looks, so I won't overdo it here, but there's a few notable things worth pointing out. The world map itself has a design that's very reminiscent of Chrono Trigger. And similar to how the Epic could take to the air to travel the world, Sea of Stars will have a ship allowing the party to reach far-off islands. The dynamic lighting we discussed earlier is also noteworthy. On the game's official website, they have this wheel you can spin to showcase how this image looks in-game at various points in time. This isn't a simple sun during the day and moon at night kind of deal, but 100% rendered in real time, along with a weather system that can affect the look even further. The details of this is jaw-dropping, and I cannot wait to experience it fully. Character animations, especially attacks, look very distinct and sharp. Everything looks alive, even the town seems to be really lived in and feel very unique.
I mean, they
I
spent a
especially
good
like this
few
game's
years on this,
idea
so
of a
they
fast
put the
travel
work
system. Fans of the Messenger's music will be grateful to hear that the composer Eric Brown, also known as Rainbow Dragon Eyes, is the lead composer yet again. He has already stated that each region of the world will have unique instruments and rhythms to them, and in fact the team is using instruments from all over the world in order to make this game feel like a massively diverse world of its own. Better yet, the audio will be dynamically layered and will seamlessly transition from day to night cycles.
I did notice that when I was playing. It was really cool.
Indoor to outdoor, adjust to changes in weather, and transition into battle.
I don't know, it's just like one of those
Music
experiences
shared
you
with
don't
us
really
so
see
far
very
is
often
really
these
freaking
days.
Good, and I'm already expecting it will top the Messenger's soundtrack. And if that doesn't excite you, then maybe this will. Yasunori Mitsuda, the composer of Chrono Trigger, has joined the team to work on a few tracks. Seriously, I don't know how Sabotage pulled this off. It's insane. He has even shared some bits of the tracks he's worked on so far, along with video updates where he has stated how he was a fan of the Messenger and shared his excitement to be working with the team. He has noted that he's been exchanging ideas with Eric, so the tracks he composes will fit in closely to form a unified sound throughout the soundtrack.
That's so
You
cool.
gotta be pumped for that. Since this is an RPG, the game's story will be an important piece of the experience. And believe it or not, this game is considered a prequel to The Messenger. Although it's
Wait,
set in a
what?
different time and with different characters, the devs promise that some familiar faces will make an appearance, origin stories will be revealed, and there will be hints of an even greater story to this universe they are creating.
Interesting.
And it will even continue in future titles. In a recent dev Q&A stream, it was noted that Sea of Stars will be the second arc of what is considered to be a 5-arc story. It will be very interesting to see how they connect the dots between these two games. Although this will be a prequel, the dev team has noted that the game's overarching story will still be self-contained, so it isn't required to play the Messenger. But if you've been listening so far, you know you probably should play it anyway, right? So let's get into what the story is for this adventure, and I'm going to paraphrase a bit because I don't want to make this too long. Sea of Stars will tell the tale of an endless war between two immortal alchemists. One who is hellbent on destroying the world with its monsters, another trying to stop him by guiding warriors of the solstice to destroy them by using the monster's only weakness: solar, lunar, and eclipse magic. Eventually, the benevolent alchemist discovers a way of viewing alternate universes only to find this war taking place in all of them. Yes, everyone needs a multiverse now. He now spends his days scouring through the different universes,
All right, dude.
hoping to find one
Thanks for stopping
timeline
by.
which can put an end to this destruction.
Next stream, of course, will
The
be
story takes
Wednesday
place in
night.
one such universe.
So we'll probably be doing
Yup,
something different
sounds
besides
like an
video
RPG,
games.
alright.
But
All that is
I'm
missing
sure I'll
now
text
is
you
a fight
between then.
against a rat in the
Oh
open
yeah, I
land
need to
and a
text
fight
you
against
the
god
place
of
I'm looking
time
to
and
apply.
space in the end
So
game.
I'll try to do that later.
The story will follow our protagonists, Valir and Zale, the two most recent children of the solstice. They will be accompanied by their friend Garl, a relatively ordinary guy who is a cook and acts as healer for the party. On a personal note, I really love his healing skill where he digs around his backpack and throws you a snack. We know that there will be at least 3 other characters who will join the party eventually, but for now they're still a mystery. If you ever want to dive deeper into the characters, the game's webpage has its own compendium for many of the characters and enemies revealed so far. Now going back in time for a minute, let's talk about how this game was made possible. Released on Kickstarter on March 19th of 2020, the game was fully backed in under 7 hours.
That's
which
crazy.
is incredible alone considering the goal of 133,000 Canadian dollars, or roughly 100,000 US dollars. But it did not stop there. Far from it. Sabotage Studio would go on to get enough funding to unlock some exciting stretch goals. A single-player plus mode, a bonus dungeon, in-game cinematics,
Wow.
behind-the-scenes documentary, new game plus, an alternate ending, and a DLC to be released with backers receiving the DLC for free. All in all, the
That's
team
cool.
received a whopping 1.6 million
Oh,
Canadian,
man.
or 1.2 million US dollars, which is over 12 times the original goal. They would go on to win Best Crowdfunding Campaign of 2020 at the Indie
So
Publishing
rarely do
Awards.
these things pay off,
What's even
but
more
playing the
wild about all
demo,
this is Sabotage's
I feel
treatment
like
of all
they
this
definitely
support.
did.
They didn't use the free DLC stretch goal as a carrot on a stick to receive more funding. They only announced it after that milestone was already reached, returning the love and support right back to their fans. Sabotage was not only able to retain every member of the team who worked on the Messenger for this project, but they more than doubled their team in size. They are now
That's
a
really
team
cool.
of over 20 people, with the entire team working full-time on Sea of Stars. Look at these faces. Game development is serious business. With this level of focus for the full team, it will surely lead to an amazing final product. There will even be an in-game crypt including stones, statues, and monuments
that's
to honor
cool.
backers, with a promise that this crypt will be part of the game's lore and play a role in the overarching story.
Nice.
This is a really neat way for backers to truly have a special place immortalized in the world they helped create. Although originally scheduled for release in 2022, we now know that the game will be released in August 29th of 2023. The game has been announced for PC, Switch, and PS4, PS5, so Sea of Stars will be available to many, many people. Sorry, not you, Xbox. Not yet, anyway. In an update provided in December, the team confirmed that the full Sea of Stars...
It is, in fact, coming to Xbox One and Series same day and on Game Pass, so you don't even have to buy it.
experience, that is, the gameplay mechanics, story, etc., is now fully fleshed out and playable as they envisioned it to be. The game is now in its beta testing phase, so they can work through bugs and polish the game until it's ready for release. It's exciting to know that this game is really coming out in August. If only we could say the same for Silksong. While the wait for Sea of Stars gets shorter and shorter, I can't help but wonder what Sabotage Studio
Oh, the way
has
they
in
like
store for
rotate
their next
around when
game.
they're floating down
At this
the river.
point, it seems anything is possible for this team. Anyone up for a 3D collectathon? We can only hope. Now I want to hear what you are most excited about for this game. If you want to keep up
That's
to
pretty
date
cool.
on more indie gaming previews,
Good little overview of it. But that's definitely my next most anticipated game. Obviously, it's like a week away. And then, of course, we will have Starfield coming after that. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to. I feel like, what was it? Everspace 2 just came out on Game Pass, so I've played a little bit of that. That's pretty cool. Now Sea of Stars is about to come out. I feel like that's going to be my, like, backup game to Starfield. Like, if there's ever a day where I'm like, okay, I don't want to play Starfield, I'll go play Sea of Stars, you know? And then Forza Motorsport comes out later this year. So, there's some good stuff, at least as an Xbox gamer with Game Pass and everything. It's going to be pretty nice. But either way, that's probably going to be the stream for tonight. For anyone who did jump in for a bit there and for the regulars, appreciate you coming in, supporting. For anybody watching the video on demand later, yeah, hopefully you check it out again. I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. At about midnight. Pre-stream starts 15-20 minutes before. So go over a variety of topics. Like sometimes just whatever chat happens to bring up, we'll talk about. Other times it'll be something more specific. Like tonight was going to be video games. Sometimes we'll talk about working in the service industry. Other times we'll watch spooky videos. So there's always something. So just subscribe to the channel. You'll get updates in the community feed and in other videos and on my social media. So you'll know what's going on. But we will see you next time.